Keeping things rolling with the 7 o'clock slate, we have ourselves a potential cross-conference classic. As Tulane, fresh off of a really nice win against Northwestern, they're now going to make the trip down to South Alabama at Hancock Whitney Stadium to take on the South Alabama Jaguars. A 7 p.m. kickoff game on ESPN Plus, a game in which we will also see on the College Football Redzone live stream every Saturday. But let's talk more about this Tulane team who is riding high right now. They are riding a dominant season opener. After posting over 400 yards of total offense, they were playing optimistic defensively, forcing 5 turnovers, making Preston Stone look completely washed. And while on the other side, played a very clean game, didn't turn the ball over, and it was en route to a 23-3 victory, led by the super recent transfer quarterback from BYU and Jake Redsoff. He looked pretty comfortable in spite of the fact that, he showed up in New Orleans less than 100 days before the start of the season. And yet they still managed to showcase a balance and yet also potentially explosive offense. Still got some things to need to work on. 23 points is not great. And for some of these games that they're going to play in the American, they're going to have to try their best to get a little bit more out of their offense. But the potential is certainly there. And then defensively, did not allow Northwestern to get it going at all. And if it was up to me, candidly, I think Tulane should be ranked in the top 25 once the new Redshirt Sports Top 25 does end up coming out. Now, as we're recording this video, that obviously has not happened yet. When that top 25 does come out, we will react to it, as well as talk about some of those key matchups happening from a bracketology kind of perspective. But if it was completely up to me and only me, I think Tulane is a top 25 team. And I think as of right now, I think they are the best G5 team in college football right about now. I think that highly of this program, especially given what happened to Boise State this past weekend as well. Just making sure that, they keep themselves focused, because on the other side, South Alabama, they're not slouches either. Now, they did have as dominant of a win. They did play against a lesser opponent, and they won 38-21. Granted, South Alabama defense, they did play optimistic defensively, getting 3 fumble recoveries in the exact same ball game. And so, under second-year head coach Major Applewhite, he's going to be looking to try to leverage some of that defensive playmaking that did come into play in the Morgan State ball game, led by their All-Sun Belt honoree linebacker Blaine Myrick, that's anchoring the unit, and see if they can create some trouble for that Tulane offense when the game gets underway. But this is particularly an important game for South Alabama as well, because it really gives a gauge in terms of how good South Alabama really is. We talked a lot about Tulane in this breakdown thus far, and me thinking that Tulane is one of the best teams in the G5, and I truly believe that. But then we're also going to see what South Alabama is made up of at the same time, because of the fact that, yes, they did get a win against Morgan State and they played optimistic defensively. How real is that defense? And how real is that football team as well? Beating Morgan State is one thing, but can you beat Tulane in your own building as well? And there certainly is a path for South Alabama to get that done, right? Because you think of what this win means for Tulane football and what they were able to do against Northwestern and dominate Northwestern, a power conference team. Granted, maybe not a very good power conference team, but it's still a team from the power conferences, and Tulane has had their struggles since a few years ago when they won the Cotton Bowl against USC. But because they got that big win, and it's a somewhat emotional win as well, there is a potential for this to be a letdown spot for Tulane. So South Alabama can certainly spring a track if they're not careful. Now, checking out the model and what the model is thinking right about now, we don't see that happening necessarily. So FanDuel has Tulane as a 10.5 point favorite as of the recording of this video. But then our internal power rating metrics have the Green Wave as an even bigger favorite. We have Tulane as a 16 point favorite. And we're gonna see, I guess, who's more ready to play here in week number 2. I do expect to see the offensive balance from the Green Wave that was displayed in that Northwestern matchup to possibly expose some flaws in South Alabama that have not necessarily been discovered yet, because I thought South Alabama played fine, but then again, we really don't know how good this team is. So I do think South Alabama does get exposed a little bit under that circumstance. And so we're going to rock with a Tulane win here. 30-20, I think, will be the final score. I think we'll have a little bit more offensive productivity than what we saw last week against Northwestern. Granted, I think that South Alabama, at least at home, with utilizing the home field advantage at Hancock-Whitney Stadium, I do think at the very least South Alabama does cover. Should be a competitive game, but I think Tulane is going to show why, in my opinion, they should be a top 25 team in all of college football.